Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Lyve Neutral, the host and creator of the WDFIYP podcast. And then the other little issue going on with this story is the whole U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, who was also imprisoned in Russia, and he had been in custody for 4 years. He was convicted on espionage charges that the U.S. have called false, and he did not get let out with this trade, and he is still there. And a lot of people feel, well, how could we have let our veterans stay behind and over her, and basically pitting them against each other and things like that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't understand why people are baffled behind that. Look how America treated veterans when here. How many homeless veterans do you have? How many veterans in America do we have that's just in a total messed up position? You know what I mean? So how can you debate? But that veteran is not bringing in income. Brittany
okay.
Is a bag,
right.
Plus, Brittany has people backing for her, and sometimes when you have certain people backing you, the powers that be, they have to answer to that. You know what I mean? Because they don't want the backlash.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, Lyve Neutral, who is the creator and host of the WDFIYP podcast. Welcome to the show, Lyve.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yes, definitely glad to have you today to go over some really impactful stories that have been placed in the news impacting our Black folks. And so please tell us about your podcast briefly.
Okay, well, the name of the podcast is called WDFIYP. Basically, we're a weekly podcast. We network, we joke, while holding each other accountable to do better in life.
Great. Definitely. I love that. And so thanks for reaching out. I love to connect with other content creators of color, as I mentioned. And so, let's get into some of these stories. So the first one is about Brittany Griner. We've heard the great news this week. After spending nearly 10 months in a Russian prison, Brittany Griner is back on U.S. soil, and she has been freed. So the U.S. basketball star was freed in a prisoner swap, which was negotiated by the Biden administration, which where Russia released Griner in exchange for the United States release of the arms dealer Victor Bout. So she's been there, was 248 days.
Yeah.
Definitely excited about this release. What are your thoughts about her being released?
I'm actually excited about her release as well. I don't think that 9 years was. I think that was too harsh.
Definitely.
For what she, for, I believe it was oil, right? CBD oil or
the cannabis oil. Right.
Yeah, that was too harsh. But at the same time, I think that in her position, either she should have known better, or someone in her camp should have known better.
Right. And it's interesting you say that. I've been in a lot of discussions about this, and I've heard rumors that she kind of did this all the time and this wasn't a mistake. So I don't know if you've heard those particular conversations. Yeah, that they kind of supposedly or allegedly they let her do what she wanted because of her, status over there. She was making a lot of money for them, but then when the war came down, things changed, and then they started kind of cracking down. And I guess she, wasn't or was not aware that she would be, scrutinized in this way. So they may have been caught her off guard.
Well, that's crazy, because if that's the case, then they should have smacked her with a warning. If you allow someone to do this and now they feel free doing this, and you change your rules or your laws or your stipulations or whatever it is, then and then that person's not aware of the changes that's been made, how can you then penalize that person for not knowing the changes, especially if those changes aren't made public, if
Right.
that's the case. But also, you know, without her knowing that those changes were put into effect, you still don't smack somebody with 9 years over something that you done got her accustomed to doing.
Well, and that's so you can't really, rest your laurels on that if they were letting her do it, like, on the strength of her celebrity or her notoriety, because that was like, something that they didn't have to do. And she just, got it in her head. But what I felt like her lawyer should have done is, there's been documented cases of people having a higher amount of cannabis and they got lesser charges. And I feel like that would have been more, in the court, but it's really up to the judge when you go international. So you can't really, he would have had to just really sell it that way in his statements, in the case, because that's why this seems completely unfair, because it's been documented cases of other people internationally having a higher amount getting lesser time. So that's why it seems unfair to me. Now, she was over there being a superstar and I can just roll in here or whatever before, then she slid by before. And if it's illegal, you can't really argue that. So
You think it could have been a setup? Maybe they planned the whole time. Maybe at one point they decided
mm,
that they want their armed dealers back, and the next time she come through, we don't they don't rocked her to sleep now. So the next time she
see,
come through with the illegal substance, then it was just maybe it could have been planned the whole time.
yeah, I mean, it makes you think of like the how many, you hate to think of this, but like many black musicians, Ray Charles and all these other people getting caught up internationally with their drugs or whatever they had, and they be right there waiting for him. And maybe he had brought it in before and he thought it was okay, or maybe I don't know. It was wrong. It was a wrong action, but they be waiting for you. So, like you said, you have to kind of the accountability does rest on her team, or what have you, to do better next time.
Yeah. And the question is, with me personally, if if I was to put myself in that situation, um, you know, do I bring it with me or do I get it when I'm there?
Hello, right? Definitely.
That's
That's why it seemed like a slip up, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it's legal there, I'm not sure if it is, but if it is,
Hmm.
then that's not a problem. You know what I mean? But if that's not the case, then you always there's other ways around that. But to go through security with it and all that's not. I wouldn't do that. I don't even think I would have done that if they gave me the okay to do it.
Right.
I don't think I would have done that.
Yeah, it's such a low amount. That's why it seems like a mistake, because it was such a small amount. Like, you definitely not traffic it. It would be very odd to be trafficking with such a, and that was like the implication that she was trafficking.
No,
Donald Trump even made statements that she's this, drug figure or something like that.
no, that was personal use. Like you can't
Yeah.
take that little bit amount over. What fool would try to take that amount overseas to get rid of it? That it doesn't make any sense. That's her personal.
Definitely. And then the other little issue going on with this story is the whole, U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, who was also imprisoned in Russia, and he had been in custody for 4 years. He was convicted on espionage charges that the U.S. have called false, and he did not get let out with this trade, and he is still there. And a lot of people feel, well, how could we have let our veterans stay behind and over her, and basically pitting them against each other and things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't understand why people are baffled behind that. Look how America treated veterans when here. You
Mm,
know, how many homeless veterans do you have? How many uh, veterans in America do we have that's just in a total messed up position? You know what I mean? Um, so how can you debate? Like, but that veteran is not bringing in income the way Brittany is. Brittany
okay.
is a bag. You know what I mean?
Right.
Plus, Brittany has people backing for her. Um, and sometimes when you have certain people backing you, uh, the powers that be, they have to answer to that. You know what I mean? Because they don't want the backlash.
True. And a little more on Wayland. He once worked as a corporate security contractor and was in Moscow for a friend's wedding when he was detained at a hotel in December 2018. And the Russian authorities later sentenced him to more than 16 years for espionage. And he denies his charge, and the U.S. also denies that he was a part of espionage. So, yeah.
He's not. It doesn't seem like he's an asset to the U.S.
I mean, Biden said he's still working on it. So, I mean, they definitely weren't going to do a 2 for 1. It was, said it was going to be a 1 for 1. So, I feel like they'll go back for him because these white folks are kind of mad about it.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
but when they go back for him, okay, so you think about it, right? Brittany, and this is just my thoughts.
mm-hmm.
Brittany's not gonna come home and let's just go back to playing basketball. No, she's gonna pay for what she did here in America. Now it might not make the news, right?
Okay.
But she's probably gonna owe some money, some fines, some fees, some
Mm-hmm.
something. There's gonna be some type of repercussion. Whereas your veteran over there, he come back home, he go home to his wife and kids. That's it.
Yeah.
He's probably, you know what I'm saying? And that's done. That's it. You can't get nothing out of him. America is greedy. They're gonna get something out of Brittany,
Mm.
and Brittany is a bag.
I see. I feel like they're gonna have her going across the country speaking and being their
Yeah.
speaking force for whichever platforms are relevant and necessary, and she might get a book deal or movie
Yeah.
deal.
She coming home to a new job. Yeah.
Okay. We're just glad to have her home. I mean, yeah, so but that's interesting that these other little issues are going on, but they're mad about that. They really are mad about the Wayland thing.
Uh, they'll be okay. They'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I have faith that Biden, may get him home. He might just get him home.
It says a lot though when you can get someone home in 10 months opposed to 4 years.
Yeah,
It says a lot.
definitely.
Who do you, it's a matter of who do you want home and for what reason, what purpose do they serve when you get them back home, right?
That's true. That definitely had to be a factor, like you said, the financial piece.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
I'm glad she's home. I was
yeah,
there the whole time, even when Dennis Rodman said he was gonna go up over there and bring her home. You know what I mean?
right.
And then whatever happened, I don't know what happened, but you know, then he realized he couldn't, so
Yeah,
that washed away real quick.
definitely. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this one, but definitely glad that she is back in the US now. This next story I want to get into about a 10-year-old from Wisconsin who was charged as an adult in the fatal shooting of his mother. And what happened here is that he was upset that the mother would not let him buy a virtual reality headset on Amazon. Sadly, the incident unfolded on November 21st in Milwaukee, and he wanted to purchase a Oculus virtual reality headset and his mother's Amazon account. And let's see, he asked his grandmother about purchasing it. Anyhow, um, when it occurred that she was shot, he initially lied and said that he was swirling the gun around. And then he later revealed that it was intentionally that he made these actions. He intentionally shot his mother for being upset about not getting the
Oculus.
purchase the toy, the Oculus that he wanted. And so as a result, we learned that he's going to be charged as an adult. He's 10 years old. And these are African American people. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, the first thought is when you learn about the story, um, for one, when he says he was twirling a gun, he was 8, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Mm,
8 years old. So um, for his story to change, I don't see why that is shocking to anyone.
mm,
He was 8, now he's 11, right? Um, and then for two, I don't like how they're gonna try to make an example of him.
mhm,
That's what I feel. I feel like they're gonna try to make an example of him. Like they wanna, uh, like one of us dying is not enough. We're gonna make another one of them suffer. And they're gonna try to make an example of this boy who had no who had a clue of what he was doing, but really had no clue of what he was doing.
eh, I don't know. Some of these moves were kind of calculated. His mother's 26. He, what did I say? He went into the gun lockbox the night before and he got the key. I mean, that's kind of calculating.
It's calculating, right? But it's uh, you know I believe in when he said he just wanted to scare her when he pointed at
Yeah, I can
the
see that.
right? I believe that, right? To try to persuade her to say, okay, boy, you know, you know, um, but at the same time, he could have learned. They said he stood in a shooting stance, right?
Hmm.
He could have learned these. He could have been taught these things in order to protect his mom. Because the first thing that comes to my mind is that, first of all, how did he go get the key or know what the key is, and then go unlock the box to get the gun?
Mhm.
Like either he learned this or he was taught this or he figured it out. But
Right.
I'm a side on a part of he was taught this in case something happens, he can go do it and grab the gun and protect his mother. That's what I believe. Um,
Okay.
that's how he knew how to do that. Now, was he upset to the point where it was calculated to where he was going to do all that? Yeah, it was calculated, but I don't think he meant to actually shoot and kill his mother. You know,
Yeah. I mean, so many incidents happen with gun. I took a gun safety class recently. It's my first time ever touching a gun at this big grown age. So it was really kind of different. My guy tried to show me one on one, and I was just like, oh, this is good, But going in the gun range, it was different because it was like official, and we had like a lady leading it, so it was like a ladies class, and it's serious. You know what I mean? Like one wrong move, like somebody could have died. Us in there shooting these guns. It was in my back of my mind. That's why I was like, I gotta be careful. I have to be so careful. And like when we got in there, I just kind of like my first thought was to get down, but to like a kid's not even scared of any of that. I mean, I don't know if it's because video games are popping guns and the sound doesn't freak them out because the sound freaked me out in that gun range. It was so loud. Like I've never, like bigger than fireworks, or I'm just a chicken like that. But you can get over it after a while or whatever. But that was in the back of my mind. Like somebody could get hurt. One wrong move, they teach you, be careful what you're looking at, hold it like this, make sure you're safety, all of these things. So for him to try to scare his own flesh and blood mother with a gun, and I don't know.
I mean, it's a part of it is it's environment.
Right.
Um, it's environment. It's movies. It's TV shows. It's even cartoons. Sad to say. I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, but I grew up watching cartoons with a I forget what it was, but the guy had a gun on. He had a shotgun on Buzz Bunny, whatever show that was. Right? We
Yeah.
grew up watching cartoons shoot guns. You know what I mean?
True.
You
Oh,
know what I mean?
Elmer Fudd. Yeah, he would
Yeah,
shoot
he
them.
had a shotgun.
Hmm.
Like, why? What was the purpose of that? But its environment. I'm not sure where this took place. Um, but I know the story, but not sure where it took place. But it's environment and it's a mentality. You know what I mean? Like, how does a 10-year-old premeditate that? Right?
Yeah.
It's environment,
Hmm.
unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Definitely. So like, was it not real that, when you shoot somebody in real life, they don't come back, like in the video games or cartoon, they are gone forever, you know?
I don't like that his sister um, said that he has this thing with rage. I don't think that
Mm,
she said that. That she shouldn't have said that because you give them when you make a statement like that, you give them more firepower to
yeah.
treat him a certain way. You know what I mean?
Right. It would have been different if a therapist that they had been working with had it in their notes or something like that, that something had been shared in the therapy sessions. But for her to share, I mean, I guess, she's upset or, venting. But like you said, it does um, lead you to a certain, thought process hearing that
Yeah.
for sure. And so
Yeah.
I know you said that you didn't think he necessarily should be tried as an adult
No.
for this.
No.
Yeah, I can see that. It definitely feels like a mental um, break in some capacity, and definitely seems like a situation where he needs some serious counseling, and maybe an institution of the right capacity could address whichever needs and issues he's having. I mean, I just
That was the smoothest way to say it. A institution of some capacity.
he needs to be institutionalized, man. Like,
That was smooth. That was definitely smooth. I really don't think he should be tried as an adult. Um, should he be punished? Absolutely. Um, but this is a life you can save. Even though he took a life, this is a life that you can save.
yeah,
This is
like,
what we talk about Brittany Griner, right? This is now if she actually goes around, doing public speaking and doing things like that, you could turn this boy life around the same way, right?
oh,
The
for
same
sure, for
exact way,
sure.
right? So you don't
Yeah.
try him as an adult because once he's tried as an adult, it's a wrap. His life is over. Um, his life is over.
Yeah, I
But
can see him going to commit additional crimes, maybe even in the group home or wherever he ends up.
But if you work with him, you know what I mean? If the system works with him and put him, in the hands or the responsibility of someone who can help, like a therapist, change his, behavior and whatever else he needs help with, then you can save a life that can turn around and save millions of other lives. You don't condemn him forever.
Okay, I like that. That's different. Yeah, I respect that opinion. I don't know. It's such a harsh thing that he did. But yeah, I mean, being so young, there's definitely hope for that, and therapy. I agree with those things. So
Yeah.
for sure. So let's move over to this last story I wanted to get your thoughts on. And this is about the murder trial of a former Fort Worth police officer who fatally shot Tatiana Jefferson in front of her young nephew in her home in Texas in 2019. I know I remember this case, and The former officer, Aaron Dean, who is white, was charged with murder after firing into the black woman's bedroom window. The shooting was witnessed by the 8-year-old nephew, who actually went on and testified during the trial, which is going on. We probably will get the answer to this fairly soon. So definitely want to make sure we mention this. And the charge carries a possible sentence of 5 to 99 years. This occurred back in October of 2019. And what's the other thing I want to mention? So the police arrived at her home back that day in October of 2019 after a neighbor had called a non-emergency number stating that her front door was open, and this officer came to the scene to address the matter. And he there's actually video of it. If you go on YouTube, you probably can find it, where he's looking around, and he does not identify himself as an officer, which is clearly the issue in this case. And he fired her and shot her fatally. And she was a pre-medical graduate student of Xavier University of Louisiana. She was caring for her mother and nephew at the house. And so, want to get your thoughts on this story.
Well, first, I think the cop should be buried under the prison, alive. That's what I think. I think he did nothing right. I'm not a cop, never been in law enforcement, but I know that you don't, peer through someone's window and fire, and there's no, he was not in danger. No one was in danger. There's no arguing going on. There's no, you don't see no drugs. You don't see no paraphernalia. You don't see nothing. You had no reason to fire your weapon, especially if you never announced yourself, never made anyone aware that you were there or you were a cop. Everything he did was wrong, and they should bury him. 99 is not enough. He need more than 99 years. He need 199 years. That's my thought.
Yeah, I definitely hope he does not get that 5 years, because how many times have we seen where these sentences have been not only getting a lesser sentence, but they'll change charges to a lesser charge and take these little sweetheart deals. Oh my God, how many times has this happened? So I just hope that doesn't happen. And I read further into the story, the reason why the door was cracked is because I think they had burned whatever they were cooking, and they were kind of trying to air out. And it's sad that you can't even air out your house when you burn the biscuits or something, whatever it was, the hamburgers. And it's like, good grief.
Yeah.
I guess he's trying to save the day or something, but
he's not a hero.
He's not at all. Definitely not at all.
And it is sad, because now you done the trauma that the nephew got to live with.
Yeah.
Seeing that his aunt died right before him, and she did absolutely nothing. Everything she did was taking care of him. She airing out the crib. She probably was telling him what he should have done differently so that don't happen again. She did nothing wrong. But the fact that it shouldn't even be a trial. This trial should be over. Easy, fast, quick, done with.
Yeah.
Jail, life, that's it. Go hang it up.
Right, definitely. He needs to be held accountable. He actually pled not guilty, which I'm sure he was advised. Let's see, I think Wednesday was the last day they rested Wednesday, and they took Thursday and Friday off. So we'll see where they end up. But like you said, they should be able to make a decision soon in this case,
Yeah, it's just, he didn't follow not one protocol that a cop should follow. What is there to talk about?
Yeah.
There's nothing to talk about.
Right. And yeah, we just need justice for her, because this is not right. I mean, literally being black in your own house, it's been other stories too. People have been in their own driveway, and, police walks up and a verbal exchange, and bam, somebody, or you've called the police, because a mental health thing, and we've talked about this time and time again. And it's just like, what is the right thing to do? You try to, we've talked about this before in our clubhouse. When you try to be still, don't move too much, look straight, like,
And still
what are
get
you
shot.
supposed? Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's like I hope that um something happens to where this judge, holds him accountable for his actions. And I hope that more judges out there start to realize that these cops are abusing their power. They're abusing their power. And really, the judges are the ones who can turn things around. The
Yes,
prosecute, the judges hold that power to turn things around. So after we, picket and riot and do all that crazy stuff, what the judge makes a decision. You know what I mean? So
right.
why are we not holding these judges accountable? Why is these judges being overlooked on decisions that they make? They are letting these people free or letting these people off easy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think the judges should be held accountable. Some type of system or something should be put in place to where the judges are held accountable, especially if cases are. I hope this for some cases, cases that get overturned. If a case get overturned later on because someone is guilty, there's a man in Boston, Massachusetts right now who served, I believe he served about 12 years. No, was it 20? I believe maybe about 20 years in prison, wrongfully accused for murder. He came home. Now, it's about almost 50 years later, he now finally, they finally say that okay, he was wrongfully accused. So that's it. That's all. It's just wrongfully accused. That's it. That's it. There's nothing happens to this judge, this prosecutor, or anyone else that was involved in this story. It just doesn't make sense. They should be held accountable.
Definitely. Was that a white person that
No, that was a black man.
was it? Okay. Okay, I was trying to find that one. Yeah.
I can It was on the Boston Globe nearly 50 years later. His murder conviction was overturned. Now Milton Jones wants his name cleared. You can look up on the Boston
Okay.
Globe. He was trying to prove his innocence back in 76, but a jury convicted him of second-degree murder and the robbery of a Roxford bar. He served 15 years in prison, was paroled in 1990, and now his name. Now he's 70 years old now, and he just overturned. And,
Wow. Did they get a settlement or
as of right
something?
now, nothing. So, nothing.
Oh wow. Oh, I see it now. Okay. Yikes.
As if that's just okay.
Wow.
And this is a good dude. He really he's into I think he might be a vice president or something of a nonprofit organization in the community to help thousands of people. Um, what he was accused for is not who he was then, and it's not who he is now. Who he is now is how this man has always
Right.
been, and it's just it. You make the Boston Globe, and that's it.
Oh, I
That's
see. Okay. It was a robbery or something. Okay. Yeah. Wow. No, not even a settlement or anything. Just yeah,
oh,
we've seen a lot of those.
Jen, you seem heartbroken now.
I mean, it's nothing new under the sun,
Yeah,
as we've said on the
unfortunately,
show many times. It's sad. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is.
But we always try to with the truth will come to light. So, he did get out. So I'm glad for that in his case.
Yeah, definitely,
Because your freedom, can't really, put a price on that for
definitely.
sure. Definitely. Yeah, so that was the last story that we were going to touch on. Please remind us about let's see, your podcast. It's a weekly show, is that right?
Yes, weekly podcasts. You could
Okay.
it's weekly on Patreon. I could be found on any platform. Just type in WDFIYP on Instagram, Facebook. And really, that's about it. I'm not a Twitter type person. I'm on Twitter and I'm on what's the other one? The one I hate, TikTok. But
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
more of a Facebook and Instagram type person. But the podcast can be found on Patreon.
Okay, so is this out there on Apple and all that too, or?
Absolutely, Apple,
Okay.
Google, Spotify, Anchor.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, so we'll get those links in our notes for you guys so you can check out Lyve's podcast and sign up for the Patreon. Guys, support our content creators. I'm so glad to have you on. You're welcome here anytime. Anything else to share? Anything coming up?
I'm working on a. Thank you for having me. By the way, let's start there. I'm working on a book. If anyone, I'm working on a book and I'm looking for 25 co-authors.
Oh,
Sounds
wow.
crazy, right? Yeah, I'm looking for 25 co-authors of one book. I'll explain it to you when you get in contact with me.
Okay. Interesting. So if there's some other content creators out there, you want to share some content, tap in on a book project. That might be something good for the new year. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. So we'll put the links where you can get in touch with Lyve Neutral here. Well, salute to you and best wishes for all of your projects. Happy New Year early. And again, you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you, Jen. I truly appreciate it. Happy New Year to you as well.
For sure. Thanks for listening, guys, and take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.